Hello, I'm Jason Connolly, CEO of JMC Legal Recruitment, and I've been asked by the Law Gazette in this video to talk about the pros and cons of taking a contract role. Now, the pros are you can get really good experience from taking a contract role. For example, if you was to take a contract role in-house at some big brand names, you can get a level of exposure that you might not otherwise get in a private practice environment. For instance, you could be working inside of a business, actually getting experience at driving a business forward, working on projects, and this kind of experience can be invaluable on your CV. You might also find as well that there's less competition when it comes to applying for contract roles, especially 3-6 month contract roles. There's much less in the way of competition than taking a permanent role. When it comes to contracts, a lot of the time there's much more flexibility as well. Sometimes you can choose your own hours. You can dictate a lot more of how you want to work. And especially in the current situation, there's a lot more flexibility when it comes to home working. It can really enhance your CV when taking a contract role, and I think that's important. Again, there's an opportunity to learn new skills. And I think when it comes down to pay, it's no hiding away from the fact that contract roles do pay more. Now, the cons of taking a contract role when going from a permanent environment, one of the first things I would say, especially if you're a more senior lawyer, 4 years plus PQE, is you can lose your billings history and your contact base. Now, when it comes to salary, normally lots of employers will look at, in a traditional private practice firm, that your salary should be 3.5 times your billings, 4 times your billings, more in modern day. But as soon as you go into an in-house role, how do you quantify your salary when you go back to a traditional private practice fee earning role? A lot of the time contract roles pay a lot higher, but when you go back to private practice and you make that transition back without a billings history, that can be really detrimental, especially when it comes to salary negotiations. You might find that you're taking a salary lower than when you actually went to the private practice environment. In private practice, what's also so important is your contact base. If you've got a portable practice or a client base, how is you moving into an in-house or a contract position going to affect that? When moving back to a permanent role as well, it's not always easy if you've done a lot of contract positions. Your CV can look very hoppy, and a lot of the time it's difficult to make that transition back. It can also be really difficult if you want to move back to private practice, and let's say, for instance, you're a corporate lawyer. You used to be dealing with joint ventures, mergers and acquisitions on a daily basis at the forefront of deals. By going in-house, a lot of the time you can lose that real specialism. You won't be dealing with M&As, sales, purchases of companies regularly, so you can lose that, which is sometimes very, very difficult. It can be difficult to make that move back. Also, another consideration is contract roles tend to come up when a certain area of law is very busy. Now, that's all well and good when there's demand in that practice area. However, if the practice area starts to become quieter and there's less work going on, so for instance, during COVID, corporate work, transactional work has slowed down, you will find that there's a lack of contract roles, but there can also be a lack of permanent roles. And when it comes to permanent roles, the perfect person for a permanent role is someone with a strong billings history and someone who's working in that practice area. Lastly, the cons when it comes to working in a contract role can be the lack of security, the lack of a benefits package, and the lack of holiday or annual leave. Another thing to consider is also sickness as well. Generally, when it comes to contracts, you lose a lot of that level of security. I hope that advice helps, but what I would say in particular, if you want CV advice or you're a candidate that's maybe considering your options, you may be in a contract role, you want to move back to permanent, or perhaps you're in a permanent role, you've found a great contract and you just want some advice on what the landscape may look like, how transferable is it in your practice area, then what I would advise that you get in touch with us here at JMC. Our website address www.jmc-legal.com, or call our main office number on 0203 865 2113.